This is Earth Movers
with Alison, Mariella, Désir, Stephanie Flippin, and Verna, NezBegay, Volker.
A trail podcast reclaiming the narrative.
Welcome, everyone, to Earth Movers, a trail podcast reclaiming the narrative. My name is Alison, Mariella, Désir, and I am joined by my co-host, Verna, NezBegay, Volker, and we're going to be talking to Kiera Smalls. She's the Executive Director of the Running Industry Diversity Coalition, RIDC for short. Before we get into it, though, we are excited to welcome Ultra back as our sponsor, and even better news, we have a 10% discount to offer our listeners. Use EarthMovers10, that's the number 10, for 10% off your first purchase at ultrarunning.com. If you haven't heard the news, we're also on Substack. You can follow us there, subscribe at earthmoverspodcast.substack.net.com. All right, and now Kiera Smalls. Kiera and I go way back. Kiera Smalls is a Philadelphia-based runner, entrepreneurial leader, and community builder. She currently serves as the inaugural executive director of the Running Industry Diversity Coalition, which, by the way, I'm so happy to have interviewed her for that position. She was a standout candidate. She's held that position since the nonprofit's inception in 2022. The mission of the RIDC is to unite the running industry to improve inclusion, visibility, and access while creating clearer pathways for people to enter the sport and build meaningful careers within the running industry. It is the only organization of its kind in the running industry. Kiera is also the co-founder of the running community City Fit Girls, which is now known as Strides. Kiera thrives on connecting people and resources and making meaningful change. Welcome, Kiera.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay.
I am really excited.
You know, sometimes when I look through, you know, like your phone will remind you of like 10 years ago today. And there's like these photos of us when we were babies. I mean, we were in our 20s, but that feels like babies now. So take me back to growing up in Philly and what your first experience with running movement was like.
Yeah, so growing up in Philly, born and raised, so I'm like 10 toes down about Philadelphia and all its challenges and all its glory. But I didn't start running until my 20s. So before then, I was part of the launch team for Indigo Bike Share, the blue bikes you see riding around the city. So I was moving and active in other ways besides running. But then in my 20s, a friend asked me to run a 5K, and I said, that's ridiculous. I have asthma. I'm in a bigger body. That's ridiculous. And they kept pushing me like, no, like try it out. I'm going to be there with you. So if anything happens, I can alert, whoever needs to be notified. So we did this 5K, and I still think about this picture. I'm trying to find it, but I'm in sweats. I don't even know what kind of shoes I had on. I don't know what I was doing, honestly, with what I was wearing, but made it, did a walk run, finished, lived to tell about it, and got really excited about it. I said, wow, like I was able to do this. I can still breathe. I was able to do this. I can still walk. And so after that, I did another like walk run. I think it was like walk run for hunger. Like I started doing more charity based things like the AIDS walk run for hunger. And then at that time, I'm trying to think the timeline. It was maybe 4 years later that we started, and this same friend, we started City Fit Girls, and City Fit Girls wasn't focused on running. City Fit Girls was focused on personal training and strength training. How do we get more people to move their bodies, period? And then that same friend went, now look at you doing half marathons. And that's this same year, it became a 2016. She was like, look at you doing half marathons, 10Ks. You're training for your first marathon. We should start a run club. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't want to be responsible for anybody to go through what I went through to get here. But it was really exciting. So I was like, all right, you start the run club. I'll keep doing this strength training stuff over here. And I'll never forget this one day. She led this run. I was leading a workout on the Art Museum steps in Philly. We met at the steps. We took this group photo. They kept running. I still was like, this is ridiculous, but it's so cool. And then we started a run club 4 years after City for Girls got started. And yeah, that's
That's
the
awesome.
start to running.
Amazing. And I remember meeting you in 2017.
2017.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hosted a run from Harlem to Washington, D.C. We were raising money for Planned Parenthood, over $150,000. And that's the first time I met you. And, you've talked about what you built, but this wasn't just some like small thing that you built. Like City Fit Girls was part of this larger movement happening in Philadelphia. And that was, I mean, I know that Philadelphia is still very much a running city, but that to me was like the heyday or the beginning of something really powerful. Tell me about your leadership role in the wider Philly running scene.
Yeah, well, it's funny because my co-founder, her name is Takia, and we were just talking about the Run for All Women for something else, and we were just like, never seen anything like it. Like that was such a huge cross intersection between the running and run culture and the culture of our society and what was happening. And so we were just reflecting on that maybe 2 weeks ago. And so it was awesome to have a group that we could go, hey everyone, meet us. I don't know, was it 5 a.m. whatever time y'all made it to Philly, like say, hey everybody, like meet us here. And then other run crews obviously joined, and then we had that run. I would say for us, when I think back to 2012 and starting City Fit Girls, it was because I was going to different studios and not seeing women with bigger bodies, not just participating as a client of the studio, but also leading the sessions. And so that was frustrating. So I went and got my certification, and then I started teaching like outdoor workouts and things like that. I will say when November Project launched in Philadelphia, they actually came to our workout studios first to learn from us on like, what does this mean to launch in Philadelphia? And so it's kind of a funny story that me and my co-founder share of the different groups and organizations that came after 2012 to see what we were doing and how we were continuing to get people moving in the city. We would have anywhere between, I don't know, up to 60 women running with us every Wednesday through Philadelphia. And this would be Wednesday after work time, but then also Saturday mornings. And I think like, I probably still don't understand the magnitude of City Fit Girls' impact, but what has happened is I've been stopped in airports, not in Philadelphia, and go, are you the woman who started City Fit Girls? I'm coming from a wedding from a friend I met at the run club, and we've been best friends ever since. To just so many different stories of people achieving just different fitness goals, but then also like career goals in running or adjacent to running. So it was pretty big. It wasn't that many run clubs. There's too many to count now of how many run clubs exist.
It was a different time.
But it was a different time. And I think unfortunately there's a lot, I don't want to get ahead of topics, but there's a lot of clubs that say that they're for every pace and for everybody, and they're just not. And I'm just grateful that we were able to create something that truly meant, truly meant that through and through. I used to always say, I'm running with the superstars in the back. There were just other things we would do to try to introduce the women who attended to the different brands, to the different products, to go like, we're not saying go for one brand or another, but try it out. So anyway, it just has been amazing. We've been able to work with like our local government. We've been able to look at like our over the years, we looked at our Department of Health reports on the city, and that helped us think of things like, how else can we be helpful beyond just meet up and run, but like meet up and run in these certain areas so more people can see themselves running, or like, hey, local foundations and healthcare companies, what can you all do to fund things like streetlights or clean up parks, like other initiatives that can just help lower barriers to entry for movement for a lot of people. So yeah, it just grew beyond just personal run goals over time.
So let's go back to before you became executive director of RIDC. What were you doing then, and what did your journey look like leading up to this role?
Yeah, City Fit Girls was my first experience into like entrepreneurship and becoming this entrepreneurial leader or having an entrepreneurial mindset, regardless of where I would work, whether it's nonprofit, corporate, etc. And I remember when the city of Philadelphia got a contract to launch its own bike share program, like the city bikes in New York, and some of the bikes like DC, other places. So they reached out to me to go, hey, we see what you're doing with City Fit Girls in terms of getting people moving and active online. Can you come help us in terms of the marketing communications with bike share? So I was like, sure, because I knew a lot of what we were doing with City Fit Girls was just personal interest, personal commitment. So for a company to go like, can you help us do this at this company level? It was great. It was exciting. I was like, I don't have a marketing degree, but I know storytelling is important. I didn't really name it that at the time, but I knew just telling stories and helping people to see themselves as part of whatever we were doing was important. So I joined as their marketing manager. And a funny story, I think for me, this was this moment where it's like DEI is integrated into everything I do, regardless of what it's called. And this was a moment where I was like, if it's not for me, if I can't be me, then it's not for me. Was when, before we were launching, the corporate sponsor created these pamphlets. And they had these models. I mean, these were perfect hair, perfect posture on the bike, perfect background, perfect. I'm like, this is not Philadelphia. What is this? And at the time, you're in this boardroom and everybody's like, this is amazing. This is gonna be a game changer. And you're like, who is this for? Right. And not really knowing how to communicate that, or if I communicated, what could that mean? But I still stayed true to my gut, and I said, we have to figure out a way to make sure we have different representation. I want to see women with weave and a helmet. Maybe like it's not on because there's, you got to figure that out, what kind of helmet could fit. People with bigger bodies, bikes in front of like the Chinese store or the Poppy store. Just real Philadelphia. And I know that sounds so simple and basic, but it is not for a lot of people and a lot of decision makers. And so that, I guess, started my like racial justice, like commitment to helping more people see themselves in whatever it is that we need them to. And so then I became the head of DEI for the startup that had the contract for the bike share. And they opened locations in LA and Oklahoma City and Vegas. And I was responsible to go to those cities and help tell them why DEI was important in bike share. That might be a podcast for another day. But talk about moving the earth, moving the ends of the earth. But we made some good progress. I'll never forget that we received a one-time grant in terms of equity and bike share, because this foundation never gives this grant again. That's just not what they do. But the work that we did in Philly, they funded us again, and for multiple years. And so it was incredible. And I learned a lot about what it means to connect resources to the people and communities who need them the most. And then I went on to work in tech startup. So again, that entrepreneurial mindset, I wanted to figure out how to help bring resources to Philly. I'll tell you, I'll never forget this too. At the time, their first executive director made some comments on the panel about DEI, and it blew up. It was very bad for the nonprofit. And so they had to reckon with Black and brown folks going, this nonprofit is not for us. And I was like, I think I could be helpful. And here I am, I'm running into the fire. Now, it's all this press around this, everything you say, why would you go towards it? But there's just something in me that is interested in like running towards the fire safely, with caution, with my own oxygen mask. But I felt strongly about connecting resources to the people who needed it most. So I became their next executive director. I'll never forget the headline of the Philadelphia Inquirer was like, PSL names an African-American woman. I'm like, that's it? That's all we want? Like, is there more to me than, But so I knew what I was signing up for, but we turned the organization around. We rebuilt public trust. We found a way to bring in investors and mentors from companies to help with the startups. The organization was, for the most part, focused on early stage. So you were further along. You already knew what a minimum valuable product was. You already knew how to navigate investors. And so I wanted to introduce an idea stage program to help more people, specifically Black and brown folks, test and try to build something. And if they fail, they fail. And this was at a time where I don't know what was so much always happening in this country, but it was a lot happening at that time where maybe it was 2020 because I tweeted and I said, in an ideal world, we can raise more funds in Philly to help more Black and brown people build startups, test, fail, whatever, like get those same experiences. And so then I had companies like GoPuff and some other companies in Philly respond to that tweet. And so it ended up raising $500,000 for this idea stage program. And yeah, that was really huge for us. And then I said, I need a break. I did a sabbatical, and I was also in the middle of yoga teacher training. And then the pandemic, so I got my timeline all whacked up. But we were in the middle of yoga teacher training, and the pandemic got way worse over time that year. And then I said, I wonder, like, how can I be helpful? And I'm like, well, what do I need to kind of be sane in the midst of uncertainty? And so I always knew meditation was helping me. And so I was like, well, why don't you make it live? Do your meditations live. So I would get on Instagram every morning. It got to like 100 people. I was like, and that was huge on Instagram.
Yeah.
I get all these people at 8 a.m. to calm themselves when they're just getting the day started.
I need to be calm.
And so it was like just this lovely, and they're still on my Instagram, but it was just this lovely experience personally and professionally. I remember at the time my cousin was killed, and I like changed the whole curriculum that week to processing trauma. And I was like, I'm not saying I have the answers, but this is something that's happening in real time for me. And maybe other people need to like do some breathing practices during this time. And then we saw Alison, I believe, like posted, like, we're starting the RIDC. So we're like, oh, what is that? And so we just said, like, it's like, let's just keep our eyes, into what's happening. We signed up for the newsletter. And then over time, RIDC posted for the first executive director. So I was like, I think I can be helpful. I did a lot in Philly, locally, some stuff nationally, not too much. So I was a little nervous. I was like, can you do this nationally? But I was like, I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring and see what happens.
Yes, that's so awesome. If some of you don't know, Alison and I are like some of the founding members of Running Diversity. So it's really cool to see how far it's come, especially with you, Kiera. You've done so much for it. So was there a moment when you realized running could be like a tool for change and community?
Yeah, a tool for change and community. I feel like I'm constantly getting these reminders or reinforcers from City Fit Girls. A tool for change for me has been seeing people of different body sizes feel capable to run. So they don't feel pressured into it, but like they don't feel pressure beyond their control, but they believe it for themselves. So that has been huge to see. And then as far as this work with RIDC over the last 5 years, I mean, look, my goodness, and we'll probably talk about this more, but RIDC celebrated 5 years of being around. I know like when the nonprofits 501c3 started was a different moment in time, but at the end of the day, it was 5 years. And the thing that I kept saying all last year was RIDC is celebrating 5 years with a future to look forward to. And so there is this scholarship program we have with the running event. And can I share some context about this first? Because it still answers your question.
Yeah.
I remember when TRE first approached RIDC to say, hey, we want to work with you all to offer 10 scholarships for BIPOC owners and buyers in the industry. So I think like the first year was like, great, let's do it. We did it. It was great. Then the second year, I'm like, we're running out of people. Like there's not that many BIPOC owners and buyers in the industry. So if we kept the program the way that they had originally designed it, then by design, we would continue to exclude a lot of people. And so I said, hey, what if we also expand it to BIPOC employees? Because how about we also make sure people can just see certain things, like get into this space where some decision makers are, get into this space where new product is being launched or, getting feedback on, but also RIDC started incorporating its own programming. So then the programming went beyond just for buyers and owners. So it's like, yeah, at the time that was relevant for buyers and owners, but then we started either integrating our own programming or pushing them to expand their programming. So then we moved to like, I think 15 individuals the year after that, up to 25. And I'm super excited, as y'all get to hear this first on Earth Movers, is that we have grown into 40 people this year. We are bringing 40 BIPOC people with us to the running event. And the reason I bring that up when you talk about change and impact in running is because there is a woman named Nasima Palmer. She is a Black woman retail owner, and she would be okay that I share this. She was part of our scholarship program maybe 2 years ago, and she randomly sent me this message this year, February 3rd. And it's Happy Black History Month, but doesn't even say it. She sends me this message. It says, "My life has had many ups and downs, and all around Key." People call me Key. But being at the running event with being at the running event with RIDC and being visibly seen has been a true highlight of my being. I know you don't understand, but I didn't even know I had struggles. I had struggled to be seen for exactly who I am until I started a business. And I just wanted to let your move making bleep know that I am forever grateful for it. When I need to be reminded or rejuvenated, this is one of the events that I can look to like, dang, this is what it feels like to just be and it be enough. Anyway, thank you, Kiera. Thank you, RIDC. And I was like, wow.
What's so wild about hearing that is TRE, like 2019 and before, it was, oh my gosh, you could not have paid me money to go. It was so bland. I mean, I don't need to say why. I think people listening will understand why. The programming was whack. It just was cultureless. So to see the way that your work, our work has truly transformed that event. I mean, like people who went to this event in the early 2000s, 2010s would not even recognize it as the same event. They'd see how much it has changed. And one final example of that is Martha and I, Martha Garcia, who's also one of the co-founders, we went to TRE, I want to say in 2018. Martha is a Mexican American woman. She's got like brown hair. I am who I am, a Black woman. People confused Martha and me for the same person. Okay, that is the kind of climate of this space. So, change is possible.
Change is possible.
Yes, for sure.
All right, basic question. What is the RIDC? And then what is a program or initiative you're proud of?
Yeah. So I like to say the RIDC is a national nonprofit. Whoop, whoop. And in everything we do, we're working to create pathways to see more people, specifically Black and Brown, specifically BIPOC people, enter the sport and enter the business side of running. So how do we create more pathways in? So in terms of enter the sport, that could look like more introduction, right? Like I think we always say how the industry talks to each other. And so it's never lost on us. Like we need to bring information to people and not just wait for people to come to us. And then, so we do so through a series of efforts, initiatives. And then in terms of the business sides, you know what? We want to help create more BIPOC owners, entrepreneurs and owners, but then also more employees. A lot of the roles in the industry for some folks, those full-time salaries in running can make a big difference for a lot of people. And so it's never lost on us that while we want people to pursue ownership, we also want people to know like there's thousands of jobs and our partners alone. And how do we like make sure more people hear about those roles and then tell our partners like, hey, look out for these folks that are coming through in your recruitment pipeline. An initiative really excited about is the one we're in the middle of right now with Ultra, actually. There is this intro to trail running we're doing. So y'all were part of when we did the baseline research for RIDC in 2020. Well, we did it in 2022, released it in 2023. And it was understanding the underrepresented experience on trail and comparing it road and trail running. And we did a combination of focus groups. We did a combination of products, what products exist, but also what products BIPOC folks feel like don't exist or can do better at. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And so we've been since then going, okay, what's our next piece of research, or like what else do we want to do? And so building from that, we launched through our like senior program manager Abigail, we launched Freedom to Run Back Outside. So it's like, it's not we called our initial research when we launched it in 2023 the Freedom to Run. So then we were like, all right, let's call it Freedom to Run Back Outside. And we did a play on go outside to experience the trails and just like go outside because like we outside, it's just something that, some people will get as levels to what Freedom Run Back Outside means. So we did a case study with Superfeet, and we said we know barriers because of the research. So we want to test out what can we do to help alleviate some of those barriers. We know we can't solve everything. We won't ever pretend to solve everything, but what can we do to solve a little bit, and can a little bit go a long way for people? And so we launched this program. So we're going to follow 14 runners for 6 months. We're going to give them gear. We're going to give them nutrition advice. We're going to give them a community. We're going to give them what they need to potentially run their first trail race. And when we launched that, we received 275 applications in 10 days. We're like, we got to turn it off.
Wow.
We got to turn it off because we only got 14 spots. And so we went through 275 applications, and the stories, just so much for people who are like, I want to try trail running. And so we got down to 14 somehow. Maybe 15, but we got down to 14, and then they went through the 6 months. And I mean, these people, they were picked from all over the country. It was all kinds of people, all kinds of backgrounds. And when they finished, they all completed a trail race. And the most amazing thing now is we're almost coming up to a year later after that program. And so I know you all had, I think you had Yo as a guest. Their trail group was started after the work they all did related to Freedom Run Back Outside. Sin miedo. They'll always say that, and they'll always credit that program for exposing them to trail running and the running industry. Some of them have gone on to pursue careers. One of them just completed a 50K. I'm like, we ain't asked you to do a 50K, but she's been running since the program and just completed a 50K this past weekend. So we have this case study that's available for anyone to read, because it's like, meet these runners, meet the coaches we also hired and paid to support them. And also we have some tips and tricks in there for the industry. And then we worked with Ultra, and we went, all right, we got this case study, but we would need something for runners to kind of go, this is your day one. Like on day one, we start here. And so we created this toolkit. Alison Torres-Burka is the author of it, who's amazing. And a lot of that includes history of trail running. A lot of it includes the different like retailers and some of their programming related to trail running, or ways that they can do better at bringing more people in to have conversations around trail running. It also identifies several BIPOC-led trail groups, podcasts, resources, allies who are doing great work to bring people in. So for us, we're like, how do we make sure our resources, like, yes, we want to do programming, and we want to just acknowledge what's already being done and what's building and happening, and helping amplify those as well. And so we have a toolkit with Ultra, and we'll spend this year distributing all of those resources.
That's so cool.
That's
I have
awesome.
to say, shout out to Ultra, who is the sponsor of this podcast. And that is one of the many reasons that we love working with them, because they put their money where their mouth is, right? And funding research is not something that typically running brands do. In fact, I hadn't heard any of that being done prior to the RIDC. Maybe it was being done, but it's really cool that a brand could come in and see, well, supporting the next generation of runners is what's healthy for the industry, right? So shout out to Ultra. If you want to try their shoes, you can go to ultrarunning.com and use Earthmovers 10. That's Earthmovers with the number 10 for 10% off of your first purchase.
Yeah. And let me tell you,
Yes.
I'm not part of the commercial, the sponsor ad, but I'm a fan of those wide back. My toes love it. My
There you
toes
go.
are breathing. I tell you, I look at when I go for my long walks, or like going for a run sometime, I'm like, go right there. Go right there to that one. Let
You
your
heard it here
toes
first,
breathe.
y'all. That's live from Kiera.
You're right. Yeah, I just want to say, like, that's such a cool initiative because, I run trails all the time. And, usually you don't really see much like, people like us. And so what you're doing is just going to be so impactful, especially in the trail space, because I think I feel like that's kind of why we started this podcast too, because we're like we want to see people who look like us. So
It's like a
Go ahead.
perfect pathway. You get the new trail runners started. They come to our podcast, right? It's like a
Yes.
perfect little pipeline.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we absolutely want to be that pipeline. And it's like we of course do things for experienced runners. So they've been here first, but we get the benefit
Right.
of going like we're learning from the experienced runners on how to bring more people in. So
Yeah, and then pretty soon they'll be running like 100-milers, and it's just because that's kind of happens. You start one trail race and you keep going, and so it's just really cool what people can do when they just put their mind to it. So shifting gears. So Kiera, what's on the horizon for your work, for your running, and for just your life in general?
oh, great question. Honestly, I was having a conversation with a friend, and I've been thinking about how to do less but do it better.
Ooh, okay. I
Let's
already
do it
wrote
better.
down one quote from you is if I can't be me, it's not for me.
Yes, I love that
And
one.
then do it less and do it better. Oof.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm tired, and I think we can I want to give people permission to acknowledge when they're tired. I'm not saying I'm down and out, but I'm tired, and I'm tired of more so what's happening in this unpredictable country. It the confusion and chaos it creates is tiring, right? And so for me professionally and for RIDC, I like to say that the founding team that y'all wanted to solve world peace, because that strategic plan at the beginning
We're
was
still working on it.
It was so robust. That plan was like this. So then I'm like, all right, I'm coming to make this happen. And so we did a lot. So we were like, y'all only 5 years old. It's like, you know what? We have some ambitious founders, and then we're ambitious too. So like, yeah, anything is possible. And then I think like coming into the 5th year, it was like, all right, quality over quantity, and go deeper. Like, how do we like have more depth with things? Which is the reason we can say we did a program almost a year ago, but the rollout is like it's following us for years, because we need more people to like see these resources and benefit from them. And it's not helpful. We just go from this to that to the next. So for us, we're very clear on like how do we get people to enter, and what are the 3 key initiatives we're doing this year? How do we get people to work
Right.
or own? And what are the 3 key initiatives, right? We just came off of opening Haraka Run Walk
Woo!
in Prince George's County, Maryland. It was amazing. So we said RIDC helped open a Black-owned running store in the U.S.
Wild.
Yeah.
We're going to sit on that for a little bit.
Yes.
We're going to sit on that for a little bit. I will say we do have a really exciting initiative, and we're not going to be launching that much more after this. But this will be our biggest program to date. It's coming in April, and what I will say is, for us, we said we've done the research, we've done our programming, we see what's happening, and for us, it's not enough to just focus on barriers to running. We also need to look at barriers to movement, period. And so we are going to launch a program, and I think this will be out after the program is launched. But we're going to launch this program that will cover 6 months of training, of strength training at a gym or at a boutique fitness studio. Applications will be open to all, with a focus on BIPOC women to go, how do we help you become consistent or become consistent again? Maybe you're coming back from injury, or you're coming back from maternity leave. or you're just so overwhelmed by societal pressures, social media pressures, can we help you at least lower the financial barrier to movement for 6 months? And you decide what you do after that. But for us, we want you to move in a way that works for you, that serves you with the current state you're in now. Follow you for 6 months, support you for 6 months, and we will be able to do hundreds of scholarships across the country, and we're going to do it for 3 years.
Ooh,
this is big.
That's
all I can say.
This is City Fit Girls.
Wow.
RIDC. I see your fingerprints all over
Not me getting
this.
emotional.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was it was an ask. It's not enough to just focus on barriers to running, but like that's the in between, the getting people over the getting people who are following all the run clubs and they're seeing what's happening and they're like, if only I could, if only I. So it's like before the answer is go show up to the run club, because that is also a thing. But if you ain't doing that, what's my other option? It's like maybe like a local studio or a gym or coach or someone, like you can work with them in a more intimate way. And then do you go to that run club after that? So, So really excited about that. So those are some of the things we're thinking about. Again, always thinking about how to bring more people into the sport. We know that competition is important and we'll always support like the competitive side of the sport. And I was just saying this, I did volleyball in high school. I didn't run until my 20s, and I've been participating in this industry as a consumer for 15, 20 years. So like, we can't negate the people who are like, they're coming in and they're participating in this industry, in this sport for a very long time, for decades. And so really excited about that. Personally, again, I do less, but do it better. I have 3 nephews and a niece on the way. I have some personal projects that I want to do. I really enjoy writing. People read our monthly newsletter. I do a lot of the intros. It's a creative outlet for me. So more writing. And more writing, but also less of other things. More writing, but less.
We got it.
Yeah.
Well, this is, we're going to ask our last question, and this is a question that we ask of all of our guests, and it is, what does being an earth mover mean to you?
Ooh. Like I haven't seen these podcasts and know this question. Honestly, I'll tell you the first thing that just came to my mind. An earth mover to me means there is no limit. Like the limit does not exist. You know, like things can be moved in service for good, in service of for better. And so when I think about an earth mover, it's like, do not be deterred and think that nothing is possible. But like, no, you can move mountains. You can literally move the earth. And I'm just so delusional that like it will always be the optimism in me will always see the path forward. So
I love that. I love that. Ijeoma Oluo, who's a writer, and actually she lives in Washington, but she said something like, I'd rather be somebody who wakes up every day thinking change is possible than thinking it's not, right? Like we have the choice of how we want to wake up. So thank you, Kiera Smalls. Yeah. This was amazing. And
this was so fun.
Yeah, you are the real deal, which I've known that for over 10 years, everybody. Me trying to take a little credit.
And if you didn't,
it's never lost on me that the RIDC would not have existed without the work that y'all did in the beginning and the hard conversations. And I'm kind of glad I wasn't part of that, but it has flourished. I hope that y'all take great pride in the team that has come in to take it to its next level and make RIDC. I think, just following that vision, but also a vision that we couldn't even imagine in 2020. So.
Well, we appreciate you so much. I want to thank Ultra Running again for sponsoring our podcast, sponsoring incredible work that the RIDC is doing. New episodes of our podcast drop every Thursday. We've got merchandise available. We've got a Substack, Earth Movers Podcast. That's substack.com. And we want to hear from you. So if you have something to say, you can email us at earthmoverspodcast@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, do all the things. And have a good one, y'all. Good to see you, Kiera, as always.
Thank you.
Great to see you too.
Yes.
Thanks, y'all.